Welcome back. I said last time that besides young Earth science, young Earth proponents have a second way of dealing with the scientific evidence suggesting that the Earth and universe are very old, and that is to suggest that the Earth is made and the universe is made by God in such a way as to appear older than they really are. God made the universe with the appearance of age, or as it is sometimes said, God made a mature Earth. Sometimes it's argued that it was even necessary for God to do that. That is, if God was to create any kind of a world that would be suitable for us and prepared for us, that world would necessarily look older than it actually is. It would appear to have a past that it doesn't have. So it's not simply that God has done this without reason, but he had to create the world with the appearance of age. Sometimes this argument, actually going all the way back to the 19th century, has been bolstered with an analogy. Here's the analogy. It said this: suppose you could go back in time and you could see Adam when he was created, and maybe you saw him 15 minutes after God created him. Now, the book of Genesis appears to say that Adam was created as a full-grown human being. Maybe if you went back in time and you saw Adam, you would look at him and say that he appeared to you to be, say 25 years old. Well, Adam appears to be 25 years old, but in fact Adam's 15 minutes old. So he has the appearance of age. And in the same way, God made the universe so that it appears to be billions of years old, yes. But in reality, as Scripture teaches us, it's only 10,000 years old, more or less. Now, does this argument work? I don't believe it works on any level. And let me start with the analogy, which I think to be a very misleading analogy. Suppose that you do go back in time and you see Adam 15 minutes after he's created, and sure enough he looks like he's about 25 years old. How do you know that he's like 25 years old? What makes you judge him to be about 25 years old? It's comparison, isn't it? Over the course of your lifetime, you've seen hundreds of thousands of male human beings at all stages of life, from infancy to old age, and so you have a pretty good idea of what a man looks like at various stages of life. And so on the basis of that comparison, you look at Adam and you say, 20, 25, 30 years old, somewhere in there. Well, how many Earths do we have to compare with this Earth so that we know what an Earth looks like when it's 4.6 billion years old? How many universes do we have to compare with this universe so that we know what a universe looks like when it's about 13.8 billion years old? We have none, do we? Therefore, scientists, when they say that the Earth is about 4.6 billion years old and the universe about 13.8 billion years old, are not using comparison, which means that this analogy is very, very misleading. Now, we could fix the analogy. Here's how you do it. We go back in time, we see Adam 15 minutes after he's created, and sure enough he looks like he's 25 years old. But this time we talk to him, and we take with us some doctors and medical personnel to examine him. We discover in talking to Adam that he remembers his 10th birthday party and the friends who came. We discover that he remembers breaking his arm when he was about 12 years old. We discover he remembers going through puberty. We discover he remembers what he ate for dinner the night before he was created. We examine his body, and a radiologist says, yes, it looks like he did have a broken bone at some time, and then the bone healed. Dermatologist looks at his skin and says, this man has had cuts and scrapes, and they've all healed. Dentist looks at his teeth and says, this man has been chewing things for a long time. Now, would that surprise you? Would that shock you? Would it trouble you? It would sure trouble me. And here's why. Although God is omnipotent and can do anything he wants to, and therefore he could implant false memories in a person's mind. He could give a newly created Adam memories going back 20-some years if he wanted to, false memories. In fact, if you think about it, you may have been created 15 minutes ago, and everything you think that you've experienced up till now in your life could be a false memory implanted in your mind by an omnipotent God. He's capable of doing that. Although that's true, I don't believe he would do that. Why? Because the Bible makes it very clear God does not lie and he does not deceive. And this is deception. To place false memories in somebody's mind, to cause that person to remember things that are not real, that is, in essence, to lie to that person. It is to mislead that person. God doesn't do that. Now, here's the problem for the appearance of age argument. The universe is full of memories. When scientists say that the universe appears to be very, very old. They're not saying that they've compared it with other universes, and this is what a universe looks like when it's 13.8 billion years old. No, they're saying this universe has 13.8 billion years worth of memories. For example, ice cores, these are memories. You can dig down through the ice or drill down through the ice. There are clear layers. These are annual layers. These layers of ice contain differing amounts or concentrations of, let's say, methane or carbon dioxide from the air that's been caught within the ice, showing these levels going up and down over the course of the past several 100,000 years of Earth's history. These are memories. Fossils are memories. Sedimentary layers are memories. Starlight is a memory. Starlight is produced by nuclear fusion and perhaps other forms of combustion taking place within stars. And the light is produced by these events. The light goes out from the stars, emanates from them, and then we see the light. We are seeing a memory of the event. And so if a star is a million light years away, the reasonable interpretation of that is that we're seeing a memory that is a million years old. We're seeing a memory of something that occurred a million years ago. The universe is full of memories. And this is why scientists say that it's old. Now, this seems to me to involve saying that God is deliberately misleading us. It seems to me that you can't use this argument without saying that God is deceiving us. Now, to me, it's a little bit like the movie The Truman Show. In that movie, Truman is this fellow who lives in what he thinks is the real world. Actually, he's just living under a huge dome. He thinks he's seeing stars, but he's not really seeing stars. He thinks he's seeing the sun, he's not really seeing the sun. It's a huge dome, it's fake. Well, the appearance of age argument is very similar. It says that the universe is actually very, very different from what we think it is. We think we're seeing light from stars billions of light years away, but we're not. That light was created out there in the interstellar spaces, maybe 10,000 light years out, so that we're seeing that light now. We don't even know then if the stars that we think we're seeing exist. And we certainly can't learn anything about them because what we see, the light we see, is not actually a record of anything that took place in those stars. It's a form of deception. Now, the young earth creationists will say, no, this is not deceptive. God has not lied to us because God has told us clearly in the Bible that the earth and the universe are only 10,000 years old. God has made this clear. Well, what you're saying then is that God contradicts himself. You're saying that God says one thing in the Bible and something else in nature. You're saying that God has given to us a mandate to rule this world and subdue it. And he's given to us minds and hands that we can use to make instruments so that we can explore this world and gain knowledge of it so that we can fulfill the mandate that he's given to us. But when we use these tools he has given to us, our minds and our hands, and use them rightly, we're not talking about misusing them. When we use them rightly, we will inevitably come to wrong conclusions about the nature of the world because God has created the world to look like something that it's not. So when we do our science well, we come to wrong conclusions. I think this is completely unacceptable. Now what of the argument that God had to create the world this way, that it's just inherent in the idea of creating a world that we could live in, that it's going to look older than it is? That's nonsense. Why couldn't God have created a world in which there are no more than 10,000 ice layers in Antarctica, in which there are no rocks which radiometric dating shows to be more than 10,000 years old, in which nuclides with short half-lives are all still present instead of so many of them being absent? Why couldn't God create a universe in which the only stars we would see would be stars that are 10,000 light years away from us or closer? Maybe as time went on we would see more stars. Maybe he created more stars out there, but the light wouldn't be reaching us until it had time to travel to us. There's no reason why God had to create the universe to look older than it is, or the earth to look older than it is. This is a nonsensical argument. Basically, I just do not think that you can use the argument of God creating the world with the appearance of age without implicating God in dishonesty and impugning God's integrity. And I have to say, I think you need to just stay away from this argument. I think it's hopeless. I think it should never be used in any form whatsoever. Next time, I want to sum up what we've learned about the question of the age of the earth and the universe and talk about how we arrive at some conclusions. Thanks very much for watching.